This is Walking Off, featuring Francisco Castro, Tom Torrey, and Todd Varney.
All right, welcome to another episode, a bonus episode of the Walking Off podcast. I'm your host, Francisco, with my co-host, Todd. Todd, how's it going?
Fantastic. Other than like an idiot, I went out and got sunburned yesterday. It's brutal. I'm afraid to shower or touch any part of my back and or legs. So I'm dealing with that. But other than that, man, I'm fantastic.
See, I tried to stay in as much as I could last night and yesterday, basically in general. I hate the heat. I'm a kind of a cold kind of guy, so I prefer that. If it gets anything over like 70, I'm typically not a big fan of that. So I stayed in, kind of spent some time with the kids, took my son to the splash pad. That was kind of fun.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. He didn't want to get in. I actually picked him up and carried him and got him wet. And then he told me it was the worst day of his life. So
that was probably just because he was hanging out with you. I can relate to that.
That's probably true. Well, today we have a bonus episode. The Brewers don't play, but we're going to be joined today by Evan Reifert. He is a relief pitcher in the Milwaukee. We just talked about his name and I completely butchered it. He is listening right now in the green room, probably laughing at us. But if you did miss last night's episode, we talked to Jim Cryans, author of Remembering County Stadium. It was a good conversation. You missed it. But go ahead and check it out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Great conversation. He had so many cool stories. We're going to have him come back on. A ton of cool content. But let's go ahead and welcome in Evan and go ahead and talk to him for a little bit.
Evan, how are we doing today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Doing well.
Glad to hear it. How is it going over there in Appleton?
It's good. I mean, nice weather. Can't complain. I mean, won a few games this week as well. So, I mean, can't really complain with it. So,
do you guys get time to kind of go out and explore Appleton a little bit? Have you found any spots? I know you've only been there for a couple of weeks now, but the guys showed you any cool spots or anything?
I haven't explored too much yet. I mean, yeah, I've just been here this week. I mean, love Qdoba. That's a good place to go to eat, you know. So
that's always a good fallback plan.
Oh yeah, all over that. But I mean, yeah, I haven't too much yet here, but I mean, it's a great place from what I've seen this week. And yeah, I mean, Mondays are kind of our off days, so those are good days to kind of go out and explore and do whatever we need to do to just kind of to kick back a little bit.
Absolutely. If you're looking for decent bar food, I'm going to tell you right now, Basil's on College Ave, fantastic burgers, apps are out of this world. Tell them Todd sent you. Depending on who's bartending, they might kick you out, they might not.
I wouldn't go that route.
that's always my spot. So I lived in Appleton for a while, worked at Basil's, so it's always a good spot. But yeah, College Avenue is a ton of fun, man. You're young, enjoy it.
Yeah,
but baseball first, then enjoy Appleton.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up in Wilton, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I grew up in Wilton, Iowa. I mean, just a small town, a little bit further east from Iowa City. So, I mean, small town, about 3,000 people. So, I mean, no stoplights. We got like a subway there. It's kind of about it. So, I mean, small town.
I can relate. I grew up in the small town of San Francisco. So very opposite. So I grew up in California. So the complete opposite of where I live now in the small little town where there's like two things and a couple of different, really nothing here. So, but growing up in Iowa, what team did you cheer for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, back home, a lot of Cubs, a lot of Cardinals fans. I mean, my grandpa was the biggest Cubs fan. So, I mean, my family still today back home watches the Cubs and cheers on them. So, I'd have to say the Cubs.
That's fair. As long as you don't cheer for them now, I guess.
Yeah, no, not anymore. So I mean, it's pretty strict here now.
Yeah, I was afraid that's how you were going to answer that, Evan. Just, I know too many people from Iowa, and I had a feeling that's the direction we were going here. So I won't hold it against you now that you're in the organization. We'll let that one slide, especially with the family ties. You know, Francisco and I always like to ask guests, you know, what got them into baseball originally, and more often than not, it's dad or grandpa. What got you into baseball, Evan?
I mean, I was always just that little kid. I mean, growing up, who was just super energetic. I mean, always had to be moving, couldn't sit still. I mean, my parents had always told me growing up that I just, like, as soon as I could pick up a bat and a ball, I was playing baseball. So, I mean, I kind of picked it up on my own, but my parents got me into it just because they needed to get me out of the house and kind of out of their hair a little bit. So yeah, I mean, my parents probably started that, just getting me into just organized sports, and yeah, I just love baseball from the start.
And so growing up there, you attended, after high school, you attended North Iowa Area Community College. Do you know what other notable alumni went to that school? I'll give you a hint. He's not a baseball player. He's a football player.
I do not.
Marshall Yanda, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name. He was a former offensive lineman, retired just a couple of years ago. He played for the Ravens. I was actually looking up the college because I hadn't heard of it or in that town. So I'm like, okay, I wonder who else is from this town and from this from your college. So that was pretty interesting. But according to my research, Google, you were ranked 4th among the right-handed pitchers out of Iowa, and you did pretty well in North Iowa, and it looks like you were drafted by the Rangers after your freshman year.
Yeah, I was. I mean, kind of a crazy scenario. I mean, it was just just came out of high school. I mean, went to JUCO and went to North Iowa Area Community College for a while. Great coaching staff there. I mean, I think all the coaches I had there now are professional coaches within, like, the minor leagues here now. So I know the head coach is the pitching coordinator for the Phillies, and our hitting coaches with the Yankees, or with the Twins, and our pitching coaches with the Yankees. So, I mean, it was around a lot of really good dudes there. Yeah, and then freshman year, just kind of velo spiked up a little bit. I mean, I went from throwing like upper 80s to low 90s and out of high school, and then just ended up, I think I popped a 96 my freshman year and had a few good outings that the Rangers really liked, and ended up getting signed or just get drafted for that.
So what's the draft process like? I think everybody's pretty familiar with, the NFL draft, where it's like a one and done scenario. Everybody's kind of sitting around holding their breath. I mean, going in the 30th round, that'd be a hell of a long time to sit there and watch the draft and wait to hear your name. I mean, is it something you're actively paying attention to at the time? Or are you just kind of doing your thing, and if it happens, it happens, and if not, there's next year, there's more opportunities down the road?
Yeah, so I've actually got a pretty funny story about that. So yeah, I mean, in the meantime, I was in Florida playing summer baseball, my freshman summer there. I mean, I didn't have many like high hopes for getting drafted. I mean, I knew I had a lot of interest in just organizations in general, but I figured like I needed another year of development, just another year just to kind of get just more reps and more opportunities there. So, I mean, I didn't think too much of the draft. I followed it for like the first couple days, and then obviously 30th round came that third day of the draft, and I just had stopped looking at it completely. I'd gotten back from working out that day while I was in Florida, got out of the shower, had a missed call, and then my head baseball coach at my JUCO at the time gave me a call. He's like, "Hey, like, what the heck?" And I'm like, "Well, what's up?" He's like, "You realize what just happened?" I'm like, "No." He's just like, "Well, you just got drafted by the Texas Rangers. Like, congrats." And I had to look it up. I'm like, "What is going on?" Like, just just completely clueless, had no idea what was going on. But yeah, I mean, my draft process is a little bit different than others, but yeah, it was a very interesting day that day for sure.
So once you kind of get that call from the Rangers, what is the process then? Because you continue to college, you just decline it, and how does that whole all work out? Because it gets different from football or like basketball. If you get drafted, like you're pretty much on the team.
Yeah, no, I had gotten a call later that day from the area scout with the Rangers, and he had told me, he's like, yeah, like, congrats. I believe I had to sign off some papers because I technically was with the Rangers. So I had told him that, yeah, I wasn't quite ready for like to move on and go into professional baseball just yet. So I told him I'd like to decline their offer, and that I had to sign a paper and send it back to them. And that was kind of the process of getting out of that. So that's just kind of how it is. And again, same thing with the Brewers. It's like you have documentation you have to sign before you're actually with the team. So
what I just can't imagine. I don't even know if I have a question at the end of this, but I just couldn't imagine, like, you know, working. I think every baseball player at some point, regardless of if you only play a couple years in Little League or if you end in college, or even if you're playing after that. I was down in Phoenix playing with some guys down there in open leagues that still had that dream that, hey, somebody might watch me play here in Phoenix with a bunch of 30-year-old dudes who are, you know, way out of shape and think that maybe I'm the one. But everybody's got that dream to go pro at some time. What's the thought process like there of ultimately deciding this isn't my time? Like, being confident enough that, hey, I'll get another opportunity to go there. This isn't it for me. How much time did it kind of take, and what was your thought process through that?
Yeah, I mean, especially just after that freshman year, I knew that just mentally I wasn't quite ready there for that opportunity yet. I knew I had a lot of really good raw tools that I had at the time. Again, fastball was really good, like really good off speed. But I knew there was more to it. I knew there was more that I could improve on. And again, it just, I think, just choosing the right time. It's like, okay, like, how much do I have underneath my belt, and how much you're almost looking for like just things that you can pull out of your pockets and stuff that you could just be like, okay, hey, like, I've been in some crappy scenarios here that I've gotten through. Like, it's just trying to find different ways. And I guess do you guys understand what I'm getting at, like, here? Just kind of like
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's always things you can improve, and I guess you bet on yourself, which, you know, and I guess it's kind of hard because no one expected COVID to come and kind of screw everything up in the world. Baseball just being a small part of the whole thing, but that's crazy. Just kind of. But was that but then because you were a senior when COVID hit, so were you drafted after that, or is that kind of the last time you were drafted prior to being signed as a undrafted free agent?
Yeah, so freshman year I got drafted by the Rangers. My sophomore year I didn't end up getting drafted. It was actually my junior year after my junior year, that's when I ended up signing then. So yeah, that was kind of that.
Yeah, what's the thought process then like when you find out the draft's only going to be 5 rounds last year? Yeah. Baseball essentially, I mean, everywhere shut down at pretty much every level. What was your 2020 like as far as playing baseball went?
Yeah, I mean, I was at Central Missouri at the time when COVID hit. So, I mean, I think I had like 4 appearances, not too many appearances really. It was kind of tough because I knew that I had the chance to go pretty far in the draft if I would have had a good season that year. But I mean, yeah, it was definitely kind of a shot to the gut when COVID hit, because then, no one was playing baseball. I mean, no real opportunities to get seen on, and again, it's just like I'd had 3 years where it's like, okay, like I've had opportunities almost every year, getting seen by scouts at some games or whenever. So like I knew the interest was there, but I knew that they wanted to see more, and it was kind of frustrating at first. It was like, dang, like I know there's more I can do and more I can prove to everyone, but yeah, I mean, I was fortunate with the Brewers. Like they came out and my coaches at Central Missouri ended up finding a summer league for me to play at. I actually played there for 2 weeks in the summer and then signed with the Brewers after that because they had gone to both those outings. So I mean, that was kind of like my ticket in the door. Really, it was like the area scout for the Brewers in the Midwest for me was, again, had seen me for 3 years. Had seen me play at Nyack, had seen me play at Central Missouri, and really liked what they saw. So I mean, I was really fortunate in that regard, really.
Did you know that they were interested in you, like when that season had started? How does that all work out? Do teams or do scouts kind of let you know that they're keeping an eye on you, or is it just you have no idea who's watching?
I mean, there's a point where you don't really know like who's exactly watching or who's got the most interest in you, but I mean, like I had an advisor at the time who's now my agent, who was just like, yeah, like all these teams are looking at you right now, like this and that, just kind of be aware of that. Yeah, I mean, the Brewers had seen me before the season at Central Missouri, really liked what they saw, like a bullpen and stuff like that. So, I mean, like I knew that they were following me. I didn't know that they were extremely interested in me at the time, and I don't think I was really worried about it at the time. Again, I was just trying to play baseball, you know, and just do what I could on the field and just kind of prove to whoever was watching.
Well, speaking of your offense, what you did on the field, you were batting pretty well. I think you led your team with 9 home runs and 34 RBI, slugged .897, and then you threw 19 and a third innings with a 0.72 ERA. So you were having a really good season, offensively and pitching.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you following the Mules this season at all?
Ooh.
Yeah, before I jumped on the podcast, I was watching them play Tampa. I think they were ahead like 8-4 or something. So I was watching that game for sure. So they're a great program, really. I mean, I loved every second that I was there.
Yeah, you mentioned Tampa. Your old roommate when you were with Carolina, Brandon Kennard, he also played for Tampa. I think right before COVID hit. So have you talked to him at all about this series, since I think Mules are the number 1 seed and they've been playing really well? I was just catching up on the highlights of last night's game, and then I hadn't seen the score for today, but so it looks like they are beating Tampa.
Yeah, no, I was gonna message him after the game for sure, because I mean, again, I'm hoping the Mules win and pull it out. So I was gonna kind of just be like, hey. Because we had always gone back and forth in Carolina, just be like, oh yeah, like we played each other last year, we would have, like, one of us would have won or whatever it was. Like we kind of had a little competitiveness between us there. So I mean, it'll definitely be good if the Mules pull it out for us. So
yeah. So you started the season with the Mudcats, and then ended up getting promoted to Appleton. What was that? How did they tell you? What's that whole transition like for you then?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of out of the blue. We were in where were we? We were playing Delmarva in Maryland. We had a road series. Apparently they had known, I think it was either Friday or Saturday, just kind of like wrapping up the week there at that series. I think I pitched Sunday, and after the game Sunday, like, our manager came in, talked to everybody, which is kind of unusual. I mean, it really hadn't happened since I had been there, that he'd really had like a team discussion and just said like, hey, like, just like, good job after the game, whatever, like stuff like that. And he's just like, hey, also Reifert's getting promoted. So I'm like, okay, whoa. Like you got to take a step back there for a second. It's like, I was just pitching in the game that day. And I'm like, man, all right.
This
like,
Reifert? Me? This guy? Coach,
exactly.
talk about me?
Yeah, it was exactly that. Like, what the heck? And it's just, again, those like next 24 hours after that, it's just like, well, okay, no, well, now I'm driving to, well, actually, I drove to Cedar Rapids, which was pretty close to home, to meet up with the team there. And it was just like, just back and forth, just all the stuff I have to do just to get ready to go there and pack up. And I mean, just a slew of emotions and all of this. And I'm just like, wow, what the heck? So,
yeah, I mean, how much time do you have to get from point A to point B on something like that?
Yeah, I had 2 days there. So, I mean, coach, the manager pretty much just told me, he's like, hey, like, if you're driving, like, you got to wake up tomorrow morning after we get back and, like, head out, get on the road. So, I mean, we had gotten back at, like, 12:30 that night from Maryland and got back to my, like, hotel at the time and was back at, like, 1:30. And I had to wake up at, like, 8 o'clock and get on the road. So, I mean,
damn.
I think I drove like 16 hours to get here. So yeah, I drove all day Monday and most of the day Tuesday and met up with them Tuesday because then they had the night game. So yeah, it's a lot of driving, but I mean, it was, again, worth the experience. And again, hopefully, again, same way moving forward now too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you just keep on advancing. That's cool. Thinking about like the minor league stadiums and where you travel, what has been your favorite city so far to play in, either through college or the minor leagues?
It's a great question. I mean, it was hard to beat the atmosphere in Carolina. Carolina was so much fun that first series. I mean, like, it was my first, like, taste of minor league baseball, like the first series, and my first appearance then. Like, I think that was probably my favorite stadium that I've pitched in so far. I mean, also Wisconsin's field is awesome as well. I mean, can't really complain there. So it's really cool there. But I would definitely say Carolina for sure is probably my favorite stadium so far, and just overall, just atmosphere. I mean, it's hard to describe when you're out there. So
what's kind of the welcoming like jumping on a new team? I mean, I know Appleton, going into high A, there's a couple guys there that are a little bit higher profile, just kind of stepping into that team and filling a role for them. What's that introduction like?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different at first. I mean, it's like, okay, well, this is a complete different group of guys that I don't really know. Like, I knew a lot of the guys from spring training. So, I mean, it wasn't like I was coming into a team with just, like, guys who had no idea who I was. Like, I mean, I think I molded pretty well into the spot, though. I mean, it wasn't too bad of a transition, really. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's some high-profile guys there, but, I mean, you don't really notice it when you're just you're one team and we're all doing the same thing and just trying to get to, the next level. So
that's a good point. Lost my train of thought. It happens sometimes.
I'm just scrolling around the map here and looking at Wilton. Looks like they got a pretty nice sports complex. Were you a multi-sport athlete, or were you just baseball focused?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, we were a small town, small school. Like, I played all 4 sports. I played baseball for 5 years since we started in 8th grade. I mean, baseball for 5 years, played basketball for 2 years, played football 4 years, ran track for 4 years. Because, I was the only state that does summer baseball, which is fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I got a good mix of everything there. So it was a lot of fun.
Did you do any other position besides pitching?
Yeah, I was a third baseman. I was a third baseman in high school.
So when you see players like Shohei Ohtani on the Angels, what are your thoughts on him? Because what he does is crazy.
Yeah, it's so hard to describe. It's insane. It's like the man gets on the bump, throws 100, and then again they'll put him in the outfield or DH him, and he hits bombs. So it's crazy. I mean, that's what he did though too in Japan before he came over. It was just like, okay, like, he was used to doing it. He'd been doing it at a high level, so it's just like, okay, I guess he's doing this. So it's awesome to watch, though. It's so much fun to watch.
I think he's one of the league leaders in home runs, which is, again, like you said, insane. Every time you see what he does, it's almost as if you're not even surprised anymore. You just kind of expect him to like launch a home run, and like he doesn't barely get over. Like he crushes the ball. He's jacked.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, definitely somebody you have to tune in whenever he's playing. So,
have you tried talking the coaches into letting you hit?
No, I haven't even mentioned it. I mean, at this point, I was just like, I think, again, just sticking to pitching and just trying to master that craft and just be as good as I can be. I mean, I think that's kind of where my head's at, and I think that's kind of where I've been directed. It's just like, hey, you're really good at pitching. You should just try and get even better and get to the point of where it's like, okay, this is what you do every day. So, yeah.
What all do you throw?
I throw a 4-seam fastball, and I also throw a slider. The slider's not like a typical slider. It's more of a bullet slider, so it doesn't really have a whole lot of horizontal to it. It's just pretty much straight down. It almost looks like a curveball, but it's just how physics work and how it spins and how the baseball spins. So it just pretty much just falls straight down. And then I also have a changeup as well that I've been working on, and I've been starting to throw it a little bit more here in Appleton. So it's been coming along. But those are like just kind of that 3-pitch mix.
That changeup, it's really since Devin Williams came out with it. I feel like this year everybody's trying to work that changeup into their arsenal, and you can really see it around the league. I mean, it's just devastating to some guys, and if you can get some movement on it like Devin has, I mean, it's wicked there. So, I mean that's always a good one to have. What's your velo on your 4-seamer? You said you were at 96 when you were in Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, it's been up to 97 like numerous times. I know I've been up there several times, but I mean, in games here this spring and spring training, it's been anywhere from like 93 to 95, touch 96. So, but I mean, a normal occasion where I go like 1 or 2 innings, probably 94, 95. So
nice.
So yeah.
So they have you as a reliever, correct?
Yes, they do.
Is that something you enjoy doing, or do you think at some point you would, want to be stretched out as a starter?
I mean, initially I was like, man, I really like my routine because I was practicing to be a starter. So I mean, all my workouts and all that were kind of molded around being a starter. So I didn't like it at first, but I mean, now that I've gotten kind of into the groove and finding my own routine here in the bullpen, I really like it. I mean, I enjoy coming out of the pen. I enjoy just being in the bullpen to start. And again, just getting like an inning, 2 innings a game. It's like, I feel like that I can go a really long ways with that. And again, I feel like I get plenty of swing and misses. So it's like, it's kind of hard to beat where it's like, okay, you've got really good stuff out of the pen. Like, why don't you stick there? So and get really good at it.
That's good. Well, hopefully that can propel you to the next level, and then we can see you advance pretty quickly. So that's exciting. Well, before we let you go, I know you're busy there. Have you spoken to anybody, or kind of like, what are your thoughts on this team, or the big team, I guess, overall so far this season? Because they started off hot and then they kind of cooled down, and now they're playing well. They're hyper first in the NL Central.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it kind of shows you just the game of baseball in general. Like, I mean, everybody has their ups and downs, and again, like, teams can get really hot really fast with just bringing hits together. Again, guys going however many innings, starters especially going 6+ if they can. Like, again, like, the Brewers have what it takes to go all the way this year. I mean, we've got the pitching staff. I mean, we're adding new additions. Again, Wong and Bradley this year, like, it's been good. So, I mean, we just gotta kind of keep building off that, really. That's all I can say to it.
For sure. It's a good organization, and I'm glad you are definitely a part of it. And hopefully at some point we can go down, catch you pitching in Appleton sometime this season. So that'd be that'd be exciting. So, question for you: on your off days, what do you do for fun? Are you a Xbox, PlayStation kind of guy?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough thing. I would usually be playing like PS4. Actually, I got a PS5. Fortunately, my best friend back home got me one. So typically I'd be playing PS5, but since I don't have that with me, since it's kind of hard to just kind of take it everywhere and just do all that, and not having like an apartment to just be like, oh, I can just leave this here for however many months it is that we play. So, I mean, I've been golfing a lot. I mean, I actually just hit the range before I came into this here. So I like golfing a lot. It's been just good just to kind of get the mind off baseball, and again, just kind of mentally just relax. Or I've also got my Nintendo Switch where I play Smash Bros. And those are kind of the two things. It's like Smash Bros, golf. So
What games do you play on PlayStation?
on PlayStation, I've been really into the game Godfall. It's PlayStation 5. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's a great game. I love it. I was so addicted to it. So it's kind of like not like really medieval, but like just knights and just fighting stuff, killing it. I don't know. It's cool.
For sure,
Awesome.
for sure. Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Francisco.
Oh no, I was just gonna say thanks for coming on, and we'd love to have you back on sometime, and we enjoy talking to you. And good luck pitching, and we wish you great success, and excited to see where the future lies for you, Evan.
Yeah, thank you guys. Can't appreciate it enough. So, but yeah, anytime you guys want to come to Appleton, just let me know. I can probably hook you guys up with some tickets or something. So whatever you guys need.
I am going to take you up on that offer.
That sounds good. Yeah, just let me know.
For sure,
Awesome.
for sure. All right. You have a great rest of your night, Evan.
Yeah, you guys too.
All right,
Thanks,
right now.
Evan. Appreciate you, man. All right.
That was cool. I enjoy getting the chance to talk to these guys and really kind of see their mindset throughout the whole draft process. Because I was talking to Brandon the last time I had him on, and he was just kind of telling me how he expected to get drafted, and then COVID, and then it's the draft went from only to 5 rounds, and like the signing bonuses were like completely reduced. So it's to the point where do you want to go back to college, and hopefully things change, but then you don't know how long this is going to last, so you just sign with the team and hope you can kind of bet on yourself. So I don't know, it's always it's cool.
That's where like I was saying, I would have such a hard time. He gets drafted by the Rangers, and then just like, no, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
And then COVID hits, man. I'd have been like, oh,
right,
what did
exactly.
I do? What did I do?
Or,
so I mean, I'm glad it's working out for him, and he's progressing through the system.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be something, I guess not worse for him, but like the A's when they drafted the quarterback from Oklahoma, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and go to NFL draft instead, Tyler Murray, and then Kyler. And next thing you know, they lost their first round pick, and I think the Astros, I think maybe 4 or 5 seasons ago, I think they did something kind of along the same lines where they drafted somebody, and something went wrong with like the signing bonus, and he was like, no, I'm good, and he just dipped out. So you never know. But I'm gonna try to make the trip out there to Appleton, because I think it'd be kind of cool just to kind of get that. I haven't been there yet, so.
Yeah, it's a cool little park. Appleton's a fun little city, and it's always cool to go there and hang out, catch a game. But I think talking to these minor leaguers is cool, because you get a sense of what the draft process is like. People don't really see that with the MLB, and they don't get a taste of what these guys go through. Like you said, he's living in a hotel room and being told like, hey, we're in Maryland right now. We're going to jump on a bus and go back down to North Carolina and then pack your shit up because you're leaving in the morning.
Yeah.
You're driving halfway across the country to go meet up with the other team. And then when he gets there, like, cool, it's not an easy drive from Cedar Rapids to Appleton to get back up there. And, that transaction happened on May 25th. and he said he's still in a hotel there, and they're hitting the road again for 2 weeks. So like, I don't think people really realize when you're expecting, some of these prospects to pan out, they're 19 to 23 years old, and their life is just, you're out of a duffel bag rolling around the country. So
yeah, it's a lot different than, like I was saying, for other leagues where you get drafted and you're expected to contribute right away. And that's the cool thing about baseball, and the unique thing about baseball is we might not see a player drafted for 3 or 4 years, sometimes longer. If you think of somebody like Billy McKinney, who's drafted first round, and he's barely cracking a major league roster now, except what he's doing in the Mets. We don't need to talk about that because he's just crushing the ball right now. So
yeah. Well, it'd be nice to see something happen with their pay scale down there. See these guys taken, a little bit better care of by these clubs. Especially,
did you see that Oakland report with their minor league? No, oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up, actually. So,
well, I was going to bring up Tyrone Taylor. A couple of years ago, he was the September call-up after they found out that he was going to work for FedEx already. Like, when some of your top prospects have to go take on that job, how do you expect them to, train and stay in shape and keep honing their craft and working on their game when he's got to go work a 10, 12-hour shift at FedEx just to get by? So
if you think about,
it'd be nice.
You think about COVID, how that completely threw their whole life in complete limbo, especially since they weren't making a ton of money to begin with. Like, minor leaguers don't make much at all. So, and they're, like you said, they're constantly being shuffled around. If you think about these players who go from AAA to the majors to AAA to the majors back and forth, and their whole life is just out of their hands. It's in the hands of obviously their manager and the front office. So, but no, it was a conversation. We will have to have him come back on sometime. I'm going to try to get a hold of a couple of different players, see who else we can talk to, because I enjoy talking to them and just getting their different perspective on baseball in general. So.
Absolutely.
And like I said, yeah, for sure. And like I said, if you haven't checked out our last episode, definitely take a look at that. We have a couple of cool things out on the YouTube channel. If you're watching that, we also have a podcast. And if you're watching the podcast, check out the YouTube channel, the Facebook page. Give us some reviews, comment, all that fun stuff. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Last night's interview must have been good. I couldn't make it, unfortunately. But I had Tom texting me at like 11 o'clock last night, telling me how good it was. So I didn't get a chance to catch it today. It's on my list for tomorrow. But for Tom to text me at 11 o'clock and tell me it was good, that's got me excited for it.
Yeah, one interesting thing before we jump off, he had mentioned, and I think I posted on Twitter, how he was one of the guys who was racing in the sausage race, and he was completely wasted while he was racing, and just a couple other cool, interesting stories about his example as speaking of Tom, he decided now he wants to jump on. So, but anyway, we'll go ahead. And he was calling a baseball game, which is why he couldn't come on tonight. He does call some local high school games. So that's I think
Tom
that's a sweet job that
Tom has a real
good
job.
For him. Yeah, Tom has cool things to do at night while we are. I was watching the Bucks game, but I turned that off. I don't know if the score has updated in a positive way, but I don't know. I was hoping they would be the kind of saving grace for Wisconsin sports this season, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But oh well. Anyway, with that being said,
doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't look like it. They may get swept. The Nets are good. Oh man, they're good. But oh well. All right, Todd. I will go ahead and we'll talk to you sometime tomorrow, the next day. And for those who are listening, we thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Night.
For sure. Right. We'll have maybe Tom on there this time. We'll see.
Good. I feel like I haven't talked to Tom. I haven't been on air with Tom in like a week. So I'm missing that guy. Miss you, Tom. Everybody else, have a great night.
Right on. Later.